when people have these glitches or blips, generally they live with them. And the question I find myself asking is someone who's responsible for Teams as a product, do I really care about those unreported moments? Do I care about those glitches or blips? And what if they're happening more often than you think? In my eyes, these things create an opinion and a stereotype about a product.
Hi, and welcome back to the Teams Insider podcast. This week we are talking managing Microsoft Teams at real enterprise scale. We're talking to Callum Moore, who is a product owner for Teams at a very large organization, just under 400,000 users. And Callum also has a wealth of experience working at other professional services organizations and even on the partner side as well. We get into managing teams at scale, thinking about pushing out clients, how to manage change, the message center, roadmap, how you deal with that process, and what's important for users and for the business. We also get into some of the admin tooling that's coming into Teams Admin Center, so things like remotely collecting Teams logs and performance of the Teams client reports in the Teams Admin Center as well. Thanks to Callum for sharing some really good tips on how to manage Teams, and many thanks to Landis, who are the sponsor of this podcast. Really appreciate all their support of everything we're doing at Empowering Cloud. On with the show. Hi everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Really excited to have this conversation, always looking for real customer perspectives on what's happening on the ground. And Callum has, by seat count, some of the most experience I've ever spoken to in terms of his role and where he's worked previously. And this one's going to be all around just managing teams at enterprise scale, as in clients and versions and issues and tracking. Microsoft has been doing a lot lately around additional reporting in Teams Admin Center, the things that are coming up around pulling client logs from the Teams client. And all that work is to deal with the literally hundreds of millions of users all around the world of Teams, helping the admins, the unsung heroes of holding this stuff together with managing those environments. So, hey, Callum, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tom. Thanks very much for having me.
No worries. I'm excited to have this conversation. It's maybe you can give a little bit, without any specific names, a little bit of background about the environments you've worked in, and the current one, nearly 400,000 users, which is just an insane scale.
No, it is a crazy scale. So, I guess a quick introduction about me. So again, I'm Callum Moore. I'm what you call an enterprise product manager, and I basically have focus on Microsoft 365, but specifically on the Microsoft Teams element, and that's kind of the whole client, how it looks and feels, so on and so forth. But I basically work closely with organizations to shape and you could say fine-tune Microsoft 365 environment. So basically make sure that the tools not only fit their business needs, but also drive real value. Easier said than done. So really, my job's about three things: making sure Teams works as expected, that people are actually using it, and that it's, again, tailored to the needs of our users. I've worked within the retail and healthcare sector. I've also worked within kind of UK banking as well, all of which around Microsoft 365. So worked in roles from first to third line support, kind of back in the earlier side of my career, as deep in the world of SharePoint, so on-prem and online. Pretty excellent mentors that kind of allowed me to transition from SharePoint to the broader 365 stack.
It's really interesting to hear how different organizations shape their internal product owner, service owner, operations architecture. We've all gained a lot of history from server-based products. So very often I spend a lot of time talking to enterprises. It's really interesting to see where they've ended up, of like, oh, this team owned this because they were networks, and networks was phone, and now phone is Teams phone. But the SharePoint team owned the collaboration because files are SharePoint, so SharePoint had it. And then other orgs have like actually quite radically changed their operating model, and it's all product owners, because even though they don't own a product in the sense of they own the product's roadmap like a developer shop would, they own the product in terms of product success within their organization and keeping up with Microsoft on what their journey is. And now AI getting into everything is like more than a full-time job just to keep up with what their doing that obviously impacts your organization and your users.
Yeah, definitely. And then you kind of hit the nail on the head there with AI coming into the picture, because it's definitely changed how, well, not only we as product managers think about experiences and features that are landing, but as you say, kind of organization structures out there. There's an AI first strategy in a lot of places. So yeah, you can definitely expect shifts in either responsibilities or just what people are doing around you to match that strategy.
Now, how is it I guess not, is it challenging? How challenging is it is probably the right question to like have all these different workloads, such a big environment, Microsoft moving so fast. How do you keep up with, well, what's going on in security and compliance around recording and transcription impacts Teams? I feel like Teams is often the workload between a lot of these things in terms of the files, the recording. It's the surface for a lot of people for AI as well. So it's in all those conversations.
Every organization's different. Sometimes you don't have a big team of, say, product managers or SMEs available to be able to do such a thing. So what you're looking for is more bite-sized information. And again, that in my eyes, that's where the message center comes in. Roadmap, bit of a sneak peek, right? Bit of an inkling as to what's going on. Message center, it's that, okay, this is landing. And this is what you need to do.
Yeah, and that's like dealing with the messaging. So we track all that and have done for a couple of years now. Like it has got like it feels like we've got busier, but we have literally got busy. Like more items are coming through than ever before, and Copilot being injected into all these tools has upped the items, because Copilot is a new workload, but also it's like, oh, Copilot in Word is doing this, Copilot in PowerPoint is doing that. So there's definitely, literally statistically, a significant increase in number of message center items in the last 12 months versus the previous 12 months.
Yeah, that has, and I have I guess a bit of a tip that I can share on that. So if you are looking at the roadmap, in my eyes, it's really easy to pay attention to those big ticket items, because again, let's say you are just one individual or maybe like two or three people managing 365 as a whole. Let's face it, you just don't have the capacity to learn about all of these nice little features. But what I can say is learning about some of the more client-based features, things like slash commands or keyboard shortcuts, those improvements, what I've found anyway, are just as important and appreciated as some of those really big ticket items. So an example of big ticket item is that new chat channel experience that's landing.
Yeah. That's really interesting, actually, because like we do, I think with the IT Pro Ops side, we land more towards this is the most significant change, so therefore it's getting my mind share. But actually, from a usability point of view, Microsoft changing something that feels smaller but helps, in your case, like thousands, hundreds of thousands of users work better. The benefit is actually to the business can often be on feature changes that help those users do more, rather than a great big new feature that they may or may not use.
Yeah, exactly. If you can promote features that help people do their job better, that's a pretty good outcome. And you could even take it a step further and, like, I don't know, create yourself like a Viva Engage community or a storyline and publish features that way. Like, not everyone has to receive targeted comms for these types of features. Just create that safe space for people to kind of learn at their own will, if you like. And if, again, back on the timing piece, if you don't have time to start carefully crafting these comms, or you don't have a service adoption team who can help you here, I mean, little top tip here: if you've got yourself a Copilot license, just give it a prompt. Give it some information. Ask Copilot to kind of give you a social media style post about a feature, and you'll be pretty surprised with what it comes back with.
That's a really good tip, because you can also that you can do it as simply as that. You can get more advanced with that. You can give it a history of previous comms and how you like to communicate. You can say like we want less emotive language or more emotive language. Like you can really tune it up to give you a first pass of like pretty consistent copy for your organization.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that idea. That's great. So let's talk about the the OPSI troubleshooting side of it, because I know you talk to Microsoft quite a bit about this. You're fortunate to have some conversations going on there. Things like client version management, client logs, troubleshooting. Like, how's that evolved over time, and what have you seen there?
Teams is a bit of a beast, and especially now it's so reliant on real-time web content. So you've got this introduction of WebView 2 ever since Teams was redesigned, and it is definitely central to how people work. So when it breaks, people notice, and not every issue gets reported. So
yeah, and that WebView thing is really interesting, isn't it? Because sometimes in IT we think about clients and client versions, and we're like, in the Skype Business Days, you upgraded the client. The client was an exe, all the code was local, and something changed. Whereas with the web type format, features can roll out, come back, be staged. Like they can go to the thing I spend a lot of time talking to enterprises is features might not roll out to all your users at the same time because Microsoft roll out at this massive scale. So it's quite agile compared to the old days of client server models.
Oh, it definitely is, and dare I say it, it's a huge improvement. But again, when people have these glitches or blips, generally they live with them. And the question I find myself asking is, as someone who's responsible for Teams as a product, do I really care about those unreported moments? Do I care about those glitches or blips? And what if they're happening more often than you think? So in my eyes, these things create an opinion and a stereotype about a product. So end user could be, I don't know, they could be chatting to their work colleague, and Teams comes up as a conversation point, and they respond to a question around performance, and yeah, Teams is good, but sometimes it fails me whilst I'm on a call. Well, that's a bad experience, because you've remembered that's been planted in your mind, in your brain.
And that's the challenge with all product stuff as well, isn't it? It can work 9 times out of 10, and the one time is what sticks in your head. Like when things just work, you don't think about them. The friction's not there. You're only conscious of these things when you hit friction.
Yeah. If only things just worked. Just. Really, the challenge until now has been visibility of those blips, those glitches, and again, that's where visibility matters now. So one tool that's been very recently introduced actually is the new client health dashboards in the Teams Admin Center. So it's one single dashboard with many components, and it basically helps you track version compliance. You can track client crashes and launch failures too. And all of those things are common in what I would describe as, well, if they go wrong, a poor user experience. So the beauty of those insights is that and I've not managed to find a really good way of being able to kind of get all of that information in one single nice digestible view.
Yeah.
And I've not actually found a really nice way without asking my operations team to spend hours and hours and hours of kind of their time to actually figure out, well, why are these crashes happening? We don't have access to Microsoft's secret framework of correlation IDs. If that exists,
there isn't.
Right?
There isn't much. Yeah, there isn't much logging client side that you can do much about. So I've seen people use third-party agents on their desktops, a next thing type scenario or whatever it may be, to grab events and activity, which is one thing, but then correlating them and understanding the versions of things and obviously what Microsoft have, to your point earlier, they know what the back end is running at the time as well as the front end, whereas you've only got, as an enterprise, you've only got visibility of the exe container, not necessarily all the web services that are running at that time.
Yeah, and I mean another example. I mentioned drivers, but update failures as well. You can dive into those. You can figure out whether it's your network or whether it's potentially something external to your network that's causing the problem. So again, that level of insight would take you quite a lot of resource time, quite a lot of knowledge as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes again, as if you're not necessarily an organization with lots and lots of SMEs, you just need that digestible view to be able to assist you.
That's good to hear. That's getting you. It's nice to hear Microsoft investing time in making the admin experience great, and it's good for Microsoft too, because I know from talking to them internally, like so many tickets and issues boil down to you're running an out-of-date client, and like it's a proxy or a firewall blocking it. So if they can help admins help the users, they don't get the support tickets, because we can see, a particular office is having issues or a particular laptop is stuck on an old version or something. And Microsoft are getting, with this tooling, they are getting stricter on that. They've now said it's a 6-month window, and they're going to start flagging users saying you're out of date, you need to update to continue with your service thing. And so they are getting more aggressive on you need to make sure you're running current versions.
Yeah, that leads quite nicely on to probably another top tip of mine, if you like, and that's this Teams Bootstrapper, right? So Teams Bootstrapper, it's this method of deploying Teams. Now, why is Callum talking about this, right? We've already deployed Teams. Why? Well, if you're not already using the Bootstrapper, you might want to kind of reconsider how you're deploying Teams, because there's lots and lots of guidance online on what it is and how to use it. So I won't dive into that. But what's important to highlight is it ensures that you've always got the latest Teams client installed. Okay, so it means that there's no outdated installs, there's no surprise updates when you suddenly push out or rebuild a device and it's got like an old version and it has to update. Mm-hmm. Generally, it's just a smoother experience for your end users, and not only your end users, IT, right? There's reducing that overhead there. So it is worth noting, though, that if users fall behind on updates, again, they'll start to see these warning banners. So, yeah, the Bootstrapper, check it out if you've not already done so.
That's a really good tip. Yeah, because if you end up on an old version now with your users for the first time, it's not just they're going to have wobbles in experience. Eventually, they're going to ignore the banner, ring up the help desk and say, "Oh yeah, it's been telling me for 3 months I need to update, but now I'm actually forced to update."
Yeah, and I think it helps as well, linking it back to that kind of Teams client health dashboard. If you've just got that sense of, or a bit more of a guarantee that you've pushed out this Bootstrapper and it's meant to keep things up to date, that what you're seeing when you actually go into the new client health dashboard versioning isn't going to be something hopefully basic. Yeah. They are what's in there are going to be quite niche problems, like, yes, the network. Someone had a network problem, and Teams hasn't been given an opportunity to update since.
And there's two things coming that are really exciting. So I like the silent testicle and the grabbing the logs. Let's talk about grabbing the logs first, because that's another real pain point for admins and for everybody's context right now today. If a user has an issue and you need client-side logs, you basically need to either be able to remote onto that machine or remote PowerShell onto that machine, press some buttons, have someone local press the buttons. They might not be in time zone. They might be busy and they don't have time. Is that something you're as excited about as I am?
Yeah, it's a huge step in the right direction. And it goes back to just foundational IT, where people have spent time logging tickets, and they expect, once the ticket's logged, for things to be investigated, and then the next interaction will be resolution. And as you know, in the world of Microsoft 365, that isn't always the case. These things have to be logged with Microsoft sometimes, more often than you actually think.
Yeah, like being able to grab the logs without having to disrupt the user's day. Like, they've already gone to the effort of raising a ticket on you. The last thing they want is to come back and spend another 20 minutes being disrupted, basically.
Exactly. So yeah, a good step in the right direction, and it'd be quite interesting to see how Microsoft evolve in that space as well. Like, will they come up with a remote action for you to be able to clear the team's cache, for example? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, because
I
that's
know a lot
for
of
those listening, that's a common troubleshooting step, is like just to actually flush the cache, start again.
yeah.
Could you do that remotely would be really interesting.
Yeah, and how do you do that in the least impactful way? Because like the cache, for example, has all kinds of files in there down to kind of like personalization, language, so on and so forth.
Yeah, nice. And what about you mentioned network issues, and I feel like in the Skype days that was the number one conversation around this kind of stuff, and it's definitely died down now. The codecs have got so much better. The connectivity has got more resilient and trying more things. Do you see a place for that silent test call media tests in Teams environments?
Yeah, so I checked out your LinkedIn feed a couple of days ago, actually, right? And stumbled across that one, and yeah, it's almost kind of similar to that. Well, it's more of an admin feature, like a make a test call, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. It's not for the user. It's to silently have these Teams clients run media streams and give you visibility. And if the user needs a client, it will drop that process and be absolutely normal. So the user doesn't see it, but what it means is, rather than deploying some third-party network testing infrastructure, and guess what, you probably deploy it in the wrong place, or you have to deploy an agent on the desktop and run a third-party thing, we can now have the Teams client in a certain zone test between each other and hopefully catch some network issues before they hit calls or meetings.
I think one final concluding thing is feedback, not to you, to Microsoft. Is vendor relationships are two-way, and again, we've always said that Microsoft are evolving, and they will continue to do so. And interactions with the product group, recent and past, have highlighted that they do want to hear from us. They really, really do. So whether it's through in-product feedback, support tickets, or if you've got a good relationship with your account team, if something isn't working for your organization, shout up.
Yeah, I love that advice. And we see that in the community. So Microsoft are very engaged with the events we do, the online stuff, and that's what I hear consistently. Is they've got a big job on their hands, but they want to hear it. The other thing I'd add to that, Callum, is talking to your peers. Like, we spend a lot of time in doing customer roundtables and user groups. It's like, actually spend some time with your peers, and you've been through a few orgs now, so I know you do some of this. Like you're not the only one dealing with these kind of scales or these kind of problems. So share best practice, and also then be able to engage back with Microsoft and say, look, I know this isn't just us asking, because actually there's 3 other similar orgs, either similar by scale, by vertical, by use case, we're all saying a similar thing. Where is this on your radar? I think that's such a good tip, kind of.
Great. Well, yeah, no, thanks very much for having me, Tom.
No, I appreciate you coming on the pod. It's a great perspective.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for sharing some really useful insights on that kind of scale. And we'll see what new admin tools roll out over the coming months and quarters, and maybe we'll loop round again.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks.
Perfect.